All right, so this also following up on ethics. I believe this is um, the third video, I believe, right? Yeah, on ethics. So it's still following up on the same logic of engineers' obligation to employers and clients. So we're saying here uh, that our obligation as engineers are secondary to our obligation to society. Meaning society is always priority, meaning society is always number one when it comes to engineering obligations, right? So we have here number one, our obligation to employers to only accept assignments the engineer is qualified to complete. So we can't not do anything that we're not qualified to do. I know for a fact, for those of us who, depending on the industry that you work in, of course, when you first get hired, you go through qualifications, right? So you having a bachelor's degree in engineering, or having a master's degree in engineering, or even having your FE is not enough. You got to go through your company's standard practices of going through your qualifications. So if there is a particular task that requires a little bit of a background in terms of qualification, then you're going to go through it. And unless you're qualified to do that, you cannot get anything done unless you actually are qualified. Sometimes it takes 6 months or a year, depending on the industry you work in or the company you work in. Some companies you don't even have to go through that, but it really does depend on where you work at. So your signature, number two over here, your signature is your everything. That's your identification, pretty much. That's you. You can't this is pretty much your everything. So do not sign or seal documents that you're not competent in, or that you're not prepared to do, or anything like that. So if you're not confident in anything that you're signing, don't sign it. So your signature is your authority, unless you're confident. So nobody can make you sign anything that you're not approved to sign or you're not qualified to sign. So because that's your signature is pretty much your everything. And if you get a PE, you'll understand, having seal plans and documentation and stuff like that is extremely important. Coordinate project that includes segments in which they are not competent, blah blah blah. So again, it goes towards the same lines of being qualified to do what your task, any task that you're doing. And number 4 here, protect facts, data, information belonging to the employer or client. So this is, the Privacy Act or whatever. So some things are confidential to the company. You can't share it to the public. Some projects are confidential. There are some governmental jobs also that are confidential that you can't share with the public. So you got to respect that. You got to make sure that you protect any of the data that's not designed for the public. So this is pretty much, this goes along the lines of being ethical, being lawful, being truthful, being honest, and abiding by the laws that you're assigned to. Your company laws, your, the city that you live in, or whatever law that you're supposed to be held accountable. So it's still along those lines. So when you're an engineer, you have obligation to your employer, to the clients that you're I guess working for, if you will. So put that in mind.